Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Everyday Black Men Podcast, podcast with any black male thoughts. I'm Riker, and I'm joined by R. Reed because Armstead and DJ All Might couldn't be here. Follow us on Twitter at EVYD Black Men, Instagram Everyday Black Men, and the Everyday Black Men Facebook page. Our website is www.everydayblackmen.com, and our Patreon is EBMP. We also have a special guest today, the Ryder. He's returning. You know he's going to bring things from left field. So let's go ahead and get it peppered up. And Ryder, you got anything you want to tell the people? Anything you want them to do, such as drink water?
Yeah, drink more water and let's live it up. Live your best lives. Do you be happy? Don't fuck with other people.
Oh, we do a quote at the beginning of the podcast.
I mean, go ahead, Reed.
One interesting thing, I'm gonna just start telling the story. So this guy, he's working in, he's trying to be a fire marshal. Whatever he wanted to be a fire marshal, and then he looked at it. He said all these certifications and all this other bullshit to be a motherfucking fire marshal. Young guy, 18 years old. He says, whatever, I do all this. He did all this. He got the job. And now he's like, man, you don't do the job like this. You don't do the job like that. So this is what I would say to our older people, or older listeners, we want to call them. Be kind to the youth and teach them, because you're here to pass knowledge to our young people and move forward. So with that said, with young people, a little bit of knowledge to pass to you. I remember what your parents said. It's not that they were always right. It's just something that they were right about at least once or twice. And keep that in mind, even though they're annoying. Bye.
I mean, that's not actually bad advice. It's actually fairly decent. I really do appreciate it, Reed.
Old people talk, young people listen.
Exactly. Old people talk, young people listen. But it's like
both sides.
True. But this is a great point, and that leads me straight into our first topic today, which is why a populist movement is needed. So, to provide and prove this example, I looked at the interstate system. On July 7th, 1919, the same year someone very close to me was born, the White House undertook an arduous journey to travel across the then United States of America before the interstate was built using the Lincoln Highway. It was supposed to be state of the art, ahead of its time. This shit took them 62 days. These niggas lost a truck or two in the Rockies. They were greeted a lot with people, but the further west they went into the Midwest, the shittier it became. And this is all before the Dust Bowl for you kids out there. When they finally made it to San Francisco, they had a heroes parade. Everything was grand and great. But they realized that there is no way in hell that if somebody were to attack America, that they could deploy troops in a fashion that would actually make it in time to get anywhere. And then America just sat on that shit. Now, the person who penned this letter was at that point a lieutenant colonel. And that same lieutenant colonel rose through the ranks year after year after year. And then in the 1950s, Dwight D. Eisenhower is who I was talking about. He became president of the United States. And 3 years into his term, he was like, it's time for us to do what I talked about when I was a guy. Because he was back in the early, he's like 19, 20 something years old. He didn't become president until he's like 60 something. So literally 40 something years had gone by almost. He starts building an interstate system. And it made it to where you could travel across the United States. Right now, that same trip that they took starting in Washington, D.C., going up through Maryland, and then going across the United States would take you 40 hours. Took these niggas 62 days. My overall goal here is when Dwight D. Eisenhower envisioned this and pushed for it and made it happen, he was doing it for a bigger purpose. He was doing it for everyone, for the America as a country that we know it. Not saying that there wasn't a little bit of racial stuff there, because there always is, but he was doing it for everyone overall. He dreamed big. My question to you is, why don't we dream big as a country anymore?
It's not that we don't dream big. It's that the big visions are pushed to the wayside. They are not popular, or someone does not gain an advantage from it. So it's basically tabled, or it's shoved into the darkest little spot in the closet that you'll probably never find. Ideas are always coming up and about, and they're always being presented. And it's us as a people, if we want to move forward and become better, to take on these ideas. And like every idea that we do is an investment. Like the highway system, it was an investment. And it was a very pricey one. But in the end run, we make more because we have it than not having it. Same thing with the Louisiana Purchase. Same thing with like getting Alaska. Same thing with getting Hawaii. They were costs associated with moving forward, but we decided that it's more advantageous to have this. And actually, there's been more populist ideas that have come about, like the tunnel system for California, right? A lot of people are very skeptical about it, and it's like, what's skeptical about transportation? Transportation, when you are able to get from point A to point B faster, you're able to save more time, which means you can be more productive and make either more money or utilize time more wisely. People laughed at it, and they still laughing at it, but it's like, what happens if you can get from New York to LA within 2 to 3 hours? And I'm not even talking about a plane ride. I'm talking about you get hopping a hypertunnel system. Boom, you're traveling like 200-300 miles an hour. You know, you sipping your coffee. Next thing you know, 3 hours, you're there. You go to work and you come back home and it's like another 3 hours, something like that. Like envisioning a future requires to be bold, but bold isn't popular. People want the now to be now, and they just want it to stay in this perpetual now versus moving forward. And Eisenhower, much kudos to him, he had a vision and stuck with it for over 40 years to get that sucker passed. And
40 years.
that don't,
40 years.
that's epic. Like that's epic. I don't care what you think. That's epic. That is being consistent. But again, also like looking at measure of success, consistency is one thing that is needed when it comes to success. So that's my thoughts on it. I can talk about this for more, but yeah, I want to hear what other people say. What you got?
My rebuttal: America isn't capable of doing big things because America doesn't trust itself to do big things anymore. They've given this all to the corporations and they believe in the private sector to be more powerful than the government itself. So let's just go about a couple examples. Number one, it says to fix the bridges and roads and all this kind of stuff would have cost $5 trillion. We just did a bill just for bridges and roads, $110 billion. That is very inefficient and it's not going to work. But that's neither here nor there. All right, let's go again. Jeff Bezos goes into the outer layer of space and the media crowns it to being one of the most crowning achievements of all time. They did this shit like 50 years ago. He did nothing special. Nothing.
It's not even that. We actually went to the fucking moon.
And back. And back.
You know how I feel about that.
And
You know how I
back.
feel about that. That's neither here nor there.
Back part.
Okay.
Went
But
to
yeah,
the moon and came back.
okay, all these things. Every time corporate America does something, we act like it's the greatest thing in the world. But when the government does something, we don't trust it. Now, he spoke of a populist movement. The populist left and the populist right will never work together because they rarely agree on things. We've seen small things like, if you guys think of it, Andrew Yang's $1,000 for every American. Then
Yep,
we got this stimulus check fronted by two very popular politicians, Mitt Romney and Bernie Sanders, which was rare when you see the populist left, the populist right. The problem with the populist left and the right, they just get them arguing over stupid shit like your pronouns. Who gives a fuck about your pronouns? I need a fucking road to drive off, or I need my $1,000 a month. Who cares?
Well,
right?
I think we have space to argue for pronouns, but it's got to be at the end of getting other bigger shit done. Like, let's have the pronoun debate once we have UBI, once we got these roads and bridges built, once we've got a jobs guarantee, like your boy be talking about on his podcast. Let's get all those other things done. And once we have it to where it's a better America, a more prosperous America, an America that you can truly believe in, then let's get into the pronoun debate. Because once we fix all this other shit, pronouns can be next. But let's fix that first. Let's not have these pointless arguments over pronouns.
It's a problem, bro. They never get over that. They'll rather keep arguing about those things because we both know that a lot of the populists left and right work for the same people. We don't talk about that out loud. Like this week, they had this whole thing on AOC. AOC was allegedly supposed to be this wild leftist and with all these crazy ideas at first, but you see who she's becoming. I keep telling y'all she's going to be Nancy Pelosi. Give it about 10 years. Nancy Pelosi was just like her, this wild person with all these ideas. And look at her. This week, they just found out that Nancy Pelosi and her husband were trading on quote unquote government information about the pandemic that, no one else knew, but no one called them out because no one cares about all those people and they're just patting themselves up. But the truth is, the left and the right, Lord, just cannot work together. It's just the truth of it. You gotta go with the what's that effect? All or nothing effect. So, like with the pandemic, well, with the bridges, they try to do this by bipartisan agreement. Fuck that shit. You have the power to do whatever you want to do. Just fucking do it. No one cares. No one cares.
Well, I
Yeah.
have to pose. I
And
have
they
to pose
can't
a
they
question
can't even
here.
stop you because Trump tried to take apart everything Obama did and was able to only scratch the surface. But go ahead, Ryder.
Here's actually the most important question that links everything together. We have multiple people coming in that have to make and pass, agree on legislation. You have to ask yourself the question, among the generations in politics, we're not talking about the people, we're talking about in politics or strictly in politics. Yes, it's a representation of the people, but the representation of the people are not the people. They are a representation of the people. And the last meaningful thing that we passed, right? Because the railroad system, the roads with Eisenhower was a huge monumental step. It's actually one of the big books in our history. But and then after that, what was the next big thing that was passed?
The
It
space
was
race.
like another what, 20,
No,
20,
not the
30
space
years?
race.
And that was civil rights, and then civil rights was Medicare and Medicaid, and that all came about at the same time.
I would go with the space
After
race.
that,
Actually, no, you're right. You're right, Reed. It would be the space race next, even though the interstate system wasn't completed until 1992, and the last 12 miles cost us $1 billion to make. But you're right. The space race would be the next thing.
Yeah, you got to
yep,
go space race. Even if you think about civil rights, the way it was pushed, and who pushed for civil rights? What would you guys argue? Who pushed for civil rights?
it
Black
was the
people,
people.
Who did it benefit?
white people.
I mean, that we're trying to do things that benefit us all. So I mean, like even if you, I'm not gonna tie that. We'll go back to that later. But like, it's just not. It's never everything that they come into the intention of doing for everybody. It has to be ultimately beneficial to white people. And do white people want roads and bridges? Then act like it because we'll get it. If it's just the benefit, some of us no. But the corporations even want the roads and bridges, but they don't want to pay for it, which is the
Well, no,
oddest thing.
the corporations they want roads and bridges, but they want to do it in such a fucktarded way that it's like basically you want poor people to pay for this. They're like, yeah, make the poor pay for it.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
you
this is
can't
why
use it.
people hate you.
Yeah, like
Hey,
Exactly.
that makes so much sense too, because poor people have money; they should pay for it.
Exactly. These poors,
They'll
man, they just
find a
be
way.
lining their pockets and not giving us shit like they should be. Them damn poors.
They
I
probably
don't know.
stash the money away in the islands, man. Like, don't be sleeping on them dead poor people now.
That question asked, I asked both of you. What do you think would be the next big thing?
Well, what it should be is exactly what you're hitting for, Reed, which is we need to go and just Biden and all his little friends need to suck it up and do something big for the people. The child care credit thing that he's trying to do right now, because he's trying to basically be remembered for doing something big. The problem with it is that nothing's backing it to fund it. And I'm sorry, it has to be backed by actual money if you wanted to stay. If you keep financing on debt, eventually you're going to get to the point where Republicans are going to come in and say, look, we can't afford this program. It gets done. So you're going to have to put on your big boy britches and charge those goddamn companies. Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to get things done is if they have to pay their fair share. Not a redoing the IRS tax system, but no, charge fucking companies. And they're going to be like, oh, but it's going to hurt American innovation. Y'all already proved when Trump gave you a tax cut that you'll fire people for any reason. So figure it out.
So with that said, I think that won't help me at all. Although they do offer 2 years of community college or state colleges, and they said child care. Since I'm beyond that point, I don't really know if it benefits me. And the mothers, because unfortunately, a lot of us aren't married. That $250 per child or $300 per child won't really come to the help of black men or anyone like that. So I'm gonna let
But
y'all
that's
go.
but that's the difference, though, is that we used to do things not because they benefited us personally, but because they benefited society. We got to stop having this individualistic mindset because as long as we do that, we're never going to get anything done. Because
That's
you're
the
going to
American
say,
way now, bro. What the
no, no,
hell are
no,
you
no, no, no.
talking
That
about?
wasn't the American way. It used to be you have your freedom, but you still took care of other people. Look at the civil rights movement. Civil rights benefited us at the beginning, and then white women secondly. But at the beginning, a lot of people were pushing for it from a moral standpoint of These people deserve everything. I mean, if you go into your boy and his argument, Reed, he talks about how part of the reason that we got civil rights is because the Russians were telling black people, look, y'all done fought for your country, you done did everything for these people, and you still come home to being called nigger. Is this really the America you wanted? Russia was trying to instigate essentially a civil war by proxy, and they
They
would have
did though.
succeeded.
They
No,
did.
no, we didn't have a full scale war. I'm talking about imagine if all these black vets in 1952 had decided, fuck it, we're going to war. White people would have had nothing because we didn't have any of these gun control bullshit on the books. Everyone had rifles, and there was over, I think, 1 million or 2 black GIs. Try stopping 1 million fucking people who all have the same goddamn script. You're not gonna win.
So
They will guerrilla tactic your ass into the fucking grave.
one thing that he said about the civil rights movement, which I think is interesting, is you'll notice that it's something we need to do when we're talking about big things for particular people ourselves. Is we kind of got to ignore number one the white politicians and number two old black people because if you look at a recent race between Nina Turner and whatever that other bitch name was who won, the old black guard came in, Clyburn and all them people like that, and you'll realize something that even if you talk about the civil rights movement, they called him a socialist and all kind of stuff, or you want to say what he is. But you'll realize the old guard never wants to take that next step. And I think it's something that our generation, 40 and under, should do. Like, we
Correct.
can't stop playing ball with them and being nice to them and hoping they'll do something for us. I mean,
Because they
and
never
that's just,
will.
yeah. And that's everybody, not even black, white people, young people. We out here suffering with all this student loan, all this kind of stuff. Like, nah, fuck all that shit. Like either you do it or you don't. And the only people that they're like, well, what if the Republicans win? They won't. They'll only win if you allow them to win. Like you can't have people in there who keep saying they might do something and never do something because Nancy Pelosi and I think it was Chuck Schumer didn't say that. Nancy Pelosi went up there and straight up lied and said they couldn't cancel that. She straight up lied. She straight up
Well,
lied.
no. She didn't just straight up lie. She straight up gave the party lie because it's not her acting in a vacuum. I'm pretty sure that Biden called her and said, "Tell these niggas that I can't do this," and it's like bullshit. The whole federal student loan thing was done by our presidents and our Congress enacting something. But as a president, you have almost unlimited power under the current doctrine. And anyone who's like, "Oh, we got to study history," do it and see if someone sues you for it. Don't make up excuses and why you can't. No, tell niggas, look, all student loan debt has been paid in full by the federal government. We'll figure out the details later. And any Republican who tries to challenge that on a state basis or district basis or federal basis, they're gonna get branded fucking authoritarian. Who's gonna stand against someone taking away student loans? No one would because it'd be political fucking suicide. And anytime that they bring this false narrative of, oh, well, we can't do that because what about with the Republican? Anyone who tries to uncancel student loan will get the full force of literally everyone under 60.
If you look at bankruptcy, at one time you could count your student loans in bankruptcy, but there was this guy from he's from Pennsylvania. Oh man, I think he might be the president now, who added that you could not add your student loans in your bankruptcy. I can't remember his name, man. Mo, Ro. No, it was Joe Biden. Yeah, go look at it, Mr. What they call him, the senator for MDNA or something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but Joe Biden is not on your team when it comes to stuff like that.
1976. 1976 is when new bankruptcy law was enacted, and student loans could not be discharged in bankruptcy proceedings.
Yeah, and he should be. I mean, he's either one or the other. I don't understand
Correct.
why not. And look, guys, look at their amount of student loan versus the student loan you're talking about. They were like, man, I got $3,000 I can't pay off. Try these motherfuckers out here with 130.
And that was back when you could literally pay off your student loans in the same year that you got them.
And then they'll blame you. They'll say, what about these people with all these useless degrees? I'm the one still giving it to people and letting them learn it. So how useless is it? I mean,
Well, no. The thing about it is, anytime that somebody says, "Well, these people should stop taking these useless degrees," if they were truly useless, then you should definitely be able to bring up in bankruptcy court. Because if they can't get a job that'll pay a decent wage with it, I don't know. It sounds like something that should be discharged to me. But what about institutions? If the institutions can't get over $1.5 trillion worth of stuff, then they deserve to fucking fail.
But hold up,
That
though. We completely forget an issue when it comes to the education thing at the school. Why are the schools selling useless fucking degrees?
That's what
Why?
I was saying. I was
Because the
just like,
government was like, hey, look, we'll give you money, but we need you to pump out future scholars so that they can aid to our economy. That was the unspoken deal. And they also did some funding tricks to make sure that the schools, quote unquote, would do so. But the schools are not.
well, no, remember, we, and by we, I mean white people, are the ones who decided that they were going to make these changes. And it was the 94th Congress that decided to take on redoing student loans. And the way that it was supposed to be, it was supposed to be student loans were always supposed to be considered because if you did have a useless degree and you were changing things, then you're supposed to be able to get out of it so that you could get a good degree and go from there. But it was John Erlenborn of Illinois that asserted that you shouldn't have the ability to discharge student loans. It wasn't Biden, although he was on the same team. It was that guy who claimed that this regulation is what needed to be to prevent people from discharging that obligation. He called it fraud.
But do you guys think that the student loan forgiveness, because believe it or not, it is actually active under the CARES Act, a lot of it is, it gets rid of a lot of it. Do you think that
Yeah, but under the
legislation is like
CARES
the
Act, it's
next
not
big
really.
like step forward, like when it comes to like the highways and civil rights? Do you think like
Hell
this
no.
is our next big step, like monumental move when it
Hell
comes
no.
to legislation?
it's healthcare. Like they have
Hell
to.
no.
I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking. My thought is healthcare. If we get together and muster up the courage to take on and tackle healthcare, that'll be our next huge big step where it's gonna last us like forever. All we have to do is keep tweaking it as the generations go on. I think healthcare personally is the most important thing that we need to address that we're not. The Affordable Healthcare Act, not enough. Not even fucking close. I know Obama tried to do his thing. He
No, he didn't.
tried.
He half stepped it.
He did, but he tried because everybody was going for a whole bunch of things. Bernie, you know, one payer system. Fuck all this other shit because it's just complicated. People can't get it right, and people still dying underneath the current system, and it's still focusing on profit versus health. So, but yeah, I think I'm with you, Reed. Healthcare should be our next big tackle. That is the
No, fuck that.
monumental thing that we need to
Fuck
tackle. But do we
fuck
do
all of
what they
that.
gonna be next? Hell no.
No, fuck all of that. The people who benefit the most from us changing healthcare law are boomers. Fuck them, fuck that. We have to make student loans be the number one thing that we put all things on because that's what affects us, the youth. Old people have to deal with old people shit, but we didn't sign up for any of this bullshit or this fucking ridiculous system where education now costs more than people buying fucking Range Rovers. Like
You know,
the fact.
the problem is that with our age, we're kind of in the middle of both of those. So you're both right. But why can't we do both? Again, why can't we tackle big things?
Hey, that's a big ask.
True.
Ari,
True.
that is
No.
a huge
No,
ask
no,
from
no.
people who have
Read
limp dicks.
encapsulated
That
the
is a huge
entire
ask.
argument.
You are
That
asking to do too much. Have you seen what they've been doing lately? They can't
no,
get
no,
their
no,
shit
no.
together. That's too much to ask, man.
That's a final thought right there. Ryder. Reed is right. Why can't we do both? But what I want to bring up is that Brittany Renner told the truth about athletes, and people are mad about it. What
What
do
she
you
say?
think, Reed? She
What she say?
basically said data athlete because they're stupid.
I
Like we
mean,
can get them to have a baby.
I was watching Hard Knocks this week, and I was sitting down, and my girl was like, "Why you watch this?" I'm just like, "I want you to know something about athletes, and they're primarily children. They never got to grow up." And they were like, "What you mean?" I'm just like, "You know why the media is so hard on them? Because for the most part, they're children, and we act like they're adults just because they're of an age and they're getting this kind of money. But for the most part, most of these niggas who do all this shit, they're just children, and they gave them a whole bunch of money. They try to teach them mandatory like money, fiscal things, whatever. But you know they kids, they don't give a fuck about none of that shit, and they put them in there. And they waste all this money because it was Dak Prescott's birthday. The Cowboys are following Hard Knocks this week. And what's that guy named? Whatever. His running back bought him a bag. He bought him a go-yard travel bag. I did not look up the price of this go-yard travel bag, but my guess, matter of fact, let me look that up before I make this rant. But either way it goes, Dak is already a multimillionaire. He bought him
Correct.
let's say $10,000 plus suitcase at most. I'm guessing at least. And I'm just like looking at it like, bro, y'all are some of my best friends in the world right now, and I don't care how much money we got. I'm not buying y'all no $10,000 go yard. I can win the lottery tomorrow. Like, I'm not buying you no shit like that. I'll buy that shit for like I'll give you $10,000 in a trust fund for your child, shit like that, or his community. But Dak Prescott is a mixed kid, so that's neither here nor there. But they're just children, like with money, and most of them get suckered in to women because we don't teach men something. Women are just like you; they just have vaginas. They might be even a little worse. To some
Well, no,
extent.
it's not. To quote Sea Dog, it's not that they're worse; it's that they're little assholes. That's Sea Dog's main thing, which is the thing about it is they're oftentimes women are used to getting their way. And the problem with getting your way is the same way that you see, like, we all make jokes on black community about light skinned niggas, but the reason that light skinned niggas get made fun of is because they act the way they act because they're used to getting their way. And when someone's used to getting their way, it doesn't matter how absurd their behavior is, it tends to flow in their favor.
Yeah. Don't blame them because I think the rumor is he's paying $20,000 in child support.
No, $200,000 a month.
Yeah, but CJ don't make that kind of money, so I don't believe it.
Well, no, I could see it because remember they don't base it off of reasonable expectations. They base it off of where the court thinks he is right now. So he might have spent, let's say had a $20 million rookie contract, right?
I don't think so. I doubt he's made more than $25 million his whole career.
No, I thought he just had a.
He's not that good. We can look up his salary, but PJ Washington always been one of those tough guys on the court.
His salary is $4.2 million per year.
Yeah, that's not $200,000 a month. I think that's a lot. We haven't looked at.
Well, no, that's not. That's $4.2 million per year. You could, as a court, remember the 17% cap on child support only goes for poor people. Once you start making money,
be on child support. Period. I think we all should agree no more than $10,000 a month. Period.
I mean, yeah, but the problem with that is once you start doing child support, what you're essentially looking at is you're looking at someone taking a shit ton of your money. Period. Point blank.
Period. A child. And if you make over $2 million a year, the cap, $5 million a year, the cap is $20,000. That's it. For every $5 million is $20,000. Cap. Period. Cap.
No, I believe that we should cap it. I believe we should cap it. But I think also what we need to do is we need to have a better understanding of the fact that whatever the cap is, that's only going to be for child support. If you get stupid and marry this woman, spousal support is a whole nother level.
Hold on. Didn't the basketball player get married to her?
Yeah. He was married.
Yeah, that's why I think he's getting $200,000 because you got to pay.
So
exactly.
He done fucked up in so many damn ways. It wasn't even funny, bro. And a lot of people have like mixed feelings on it, but I'm with the verdict. I think of most people, what they're saying is it's his fucking fault. He should have known better. It part of that job.
No. I get what you're saying, Reed, but Ryder's right. Like you have to have someone in your team that's telling you cannot marry this woman. You do not know enough about her.
But even then, right? And here's the sad part, right? If you look on her social media platform, because she was highly active before she married that man.
And there
were so many red flags.
It doesn't matter. That's the thing about it is women trade their looks
on her goddamn forehead. But yeah, he still did it anyway. Probably thinking, oh, she should change women because of me. It's like, look, motherfucker.
These hoes ain't changing
like that overnight.
The reason why we can't have that mentality is because the government protects stupid people all the time.
No. The government protects stupid white people all the time. The government does not protect niggas. So he should have had someone in his team telling him, you cannot marry this hoe.
And he probably wouldn't listen.
I know he wouldn't listen, but that's exactly why I love the fact that this nigga's having to pay $200,000 in spousal. No, he's definitely paying $200,000 because that's only $2.4 million, which is exactly what most married men lose when they lose a divorce settlement. You lose half your money. So he's losing about half his money plus a little bit extra for child support because spousal support and child support are different.
Hey, but go check his shoe game though. He got the best shoe game in the NBA. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, best shoe game in the NBA, and I hope he gets paid more money, and I hope he is able to whatever. But he should watch out because if he doesn't stay currently at his $4.2 million per year, get some out of spouses. His spouse is.
That's his last 2 years. He just went to Miami, won the championship with the Bucks. That's a wrap for him. That's it for his career. But the only reason I don't like that mentality because you notice how I've never seen a woman speak up against child support, and I just
No. But the women are supposed to speak up against child support. Child support is a child
yeah.
support is
Reed, I think I know where you're getting at. And actually, I'm actually on your side. Women that have that mentality, whereas in I'm gonna find me a man to marry and then take his shit, that's wrong. That's bad.
That's what she did.
And
no one is
you,
saying
the
no one's saying it's
society,
not.
will actually acknowledge that, but there are people out there that do want to live that life.
Yeah.
And I'm on the side of if you want to live that life, fine. It's wrong and it's bad. Not unless you meet a man that is openly knowing to what you're trying to do to him and he says yes. Then have at it. There's nothing
But
wrong with
that's
it.
what PJ did.
Parties agree. But if you're trying to trick a man to do all that shit, that's wrong. That's bad. That's fucking evil. Now, when it comes to the job of being an NBA player or be a person with money, this is call it what it is. If you are a person with money, that comes with money, more money, more money. That what more problems? Part of that more problems is finding somebody who wants to take your shit. That is a part of the more problems, and you have to prepare yourself to deal with it. Now, is it right to ask a child, quote unquote, to deal with it? Yeah, that's also another issue, and I actually personally don't agree with it either. But that's what the realm is. When you become a basketball player, football player, you get access to that money. When it comes access to that money, them chicks know that, oh, he has that money, so I'm gonna go after him to get that money. They're not there for you, they're there for that fucking money. So you have to do what you do to not give into that situation. Whereas in, because that makes you she was saying that a lot of basketball players don't like to strap up. But
Well, no. She was right. She told the truth.
She did. Not all the basketball players that she slept with, they didn't impregnate her, now did they? They didn't marry her, now did they? It's just that this dude decided to marry her and put a baby in her. So, and he probably might have been thinking, yo, I'm going to try to create a family with this chick and, build and do all that stuff. But here's a problem where society has a problem, whereas they think that because you look good and you feel good, that's the fundamental building blocks of building a successful relationship, romantic
Nigga wasn't
relationship.
thinking about no successful relationship.
That don't mean no successful relationship. Just because you look good and you feel good, that don't mean that does not necessarily mean your relationship will turn out good. You have to put in work to get that relationship to be the best it possibly can. Both parties have to work.
Do women have a better code of ethics than men?
No. Women are thicker as thieves than men are, and that's the thing about it. Because I talked about this actually with my sister-in-law today. Because women will stick to the same game plan. Like we saw that funny TikTok, but that wasn't funny. You remember the TikTok where the guy would be with his girl, and he would call her friends and say, "Hey, she said she was with y'all," and all these women came up with these elaborate lies. Like one girl even went one girl actually said, yeah, she's in the bathroom. He's like, can you give her the phone? And she actually changed her fucking voice to try and tell this nigga that she was in the bathroom. But that's the difference between men and women. Niggas is always trying to sleep with their homeboy's girl, whereas women literally will sleep with that nigga if he's famous and try to take him. But if he's not, they will lie to his motherfucking face for her because they understand as a collective group, it is in our collective best interest for us to each cover each other than it is for us to be truthful. Whereas niggas will be like, yeah, I don't know where the fuck Fred is. To be honest, he told you I was with him. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck happened.
The reason I brought that up because, what happened? It was this story that these women keep commenting on. They keep talking about future a hoe, future a hoe. And I'm just like, if you have sex with Future, you're probably a hoe. They're like, well, because Future called his baby mama a hoe, and I was like, well, was he told his son. I think his son like 8, and I was just like, well, was he telling the truth? And
no. Future was telling the truth, but he was telling the truth because Future pays child support to this woman. And the son was asking, because you got to provide context. The child was asking Future where the clothes money at. Future pays child support. So he basically turned around and told that kid his mama a hoe. And the reason he was calling her a hoe is because how is it that I'm paying child support? Money that is specifically supposed to be for this child and for the expenses that he incurs in your life. and this nigga now begging me for clothing money. Future ain't paying no. This Future ain't some small nigga working at McDonald's or at Best Buy, bringing home a smooth 30K, a year. Future's probably paying at least two, maybe $3,000 per child in child support. If not more. And if you don't have enough money to fucking furnish a child off that, I know women getting paid $400 on child support that are able to make that money move. So you are a hoe if you spending your goddamn child's child support money on shit that isn't directly related to them. And there's no way that you're spending more than $1,000 on clothing and food tops. If you tell me you're spending more than that, you a fucking lie.
But I was watching all the women in the comments, and they were all like, "Well, Future this, Future that," and I'm just like, if he's telling the truth, like, he's talking to his son. I mean, they was like, "That's fucked up." Yeah, I agree, it's fucked up. And they was like, "Well, no one ever took to the idea of Future have all these baby mamas, so that's what she get." Like, bitch, no, and that's the problem. And I would say our community is like, we don't talk about it, but when it comes to like these niggas who have a lot of kids, it's always by different women. It's like it's the same dude because 40% of black men are out here childless. They ain't got children. There's still men out here with children. It's the same niggas impregnating all these same different women. And they don't talk about that. And it was like, yeah, I always want to hold the man accountable. But like I was like, Future this, Future that. And I was like, I told the truth. Future this, Future that. But like if I find a woman, she got 15 kids and 7 baby daddies, I'm not gonna fuck with her. Why you gonna do it? I don't give a fuck how much money she got. You would do it, and nobody would, and everybody would be like, "Oh, well, he may have changed." Nobody, I don't give a fuck about her changing. She can change her life tomorrow. I'm not gonna do that. How you let this many niggas get you pregnant and you get away with it both ways? And I was just like watching women, and they have this code, and it was so interesting to watch. And I'm just like, why don't men have that code? And it was like, well, Future a hoe. I was like, well, men can't be hoes, and God know why men can't be hoes. But that's neither that.
Men can be hoes, and don't ever try to that bullshit.
Well, we got to really be mindful about like one of the root problems of this, and it's called accountability.
Yeah, right.
Accountability is like wreaking all over this because like people take it very lightly having a child by another. It's taken lightly more often than it should be. And when you have a baby with somebody, you're attached to them for at least 18 years.
Nah, it's longer than that. We don't talk about that.
And arguably sometimes it's more. And the question is, do you really want to tie yourself to another person like that for that period of time? Just for a quick getting your rocks off. Do you really want to? And
guard your seed, man. Guard your seed.
Yeah, we told men to guard their seed several times. But
yeah, apparently
but no, it's not apparently they ain't listen. Niggas only do what niggas want to do. So we just gonna leave that where it is.
But it goes to accountability. And well, with Future, saying that the mother was a hoe, I would say that she's not because he's paying child support and the kid don't have any clothes. That doesn't necessarily make her a whore. That makes her a bad parent and a bad money manager.
Oh no, they'll never let you say that about a woman. They'll let you call her a hoe.
That's what it is. And like, but when it comes to her sheeping around a whole bunch of men and trying to get shit for something, then I would call her a hoe. But
no. Being a hoe is just your actions. The fact that you slept with Future and decided to have a kid by him, you already fucking knew what the fuck kind of person you are. That's the same reason that we tell black men that, I'm sorry, like, nigga, you can't dig in the trash can and find these trollops and be having raw dog sex with them and then be getting mad when she get pregnant. It's like, nigga, you don't want to stuck your dick in trash. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you can't go, oh, but she was so good at this, she was so good at that. Well, then you be so good laying down in that bed you just created for yourself because you are the cause of your own problem here. But accountability aside, so our old dog listener, Red Herring, put out a tweet recently that really resonated with me, Riker. And he said, "Are you teachable?" And the reason this resonated with me is because oftentimes within relationships, we focus on what the other person could have done, what they should have done, but not what we ourselves need to do to improve. So let's talk about it. Are you teachable?
Well, I guess I'll go first. And the answer to that question is hell yeah. If you want a relationship to work, you have to be willing to change. And change isn't always how you see it. You can predict the path that you want to go, but life has its twists and turns, and you don't know everything. So you have to be willing to be open to trying new things. And hell, even the things that you might try, you might even like and prefer over the things you did before. So I know for me personally, I'm teachable. I think for a successful relationship and for a happy relationship, me personally, I think for a happy relationship, not saying a successful one, but a happy one, you need to be teachable. But teachable is different from trainable because a lot of people use the word trainable, and like trainable is a very dangerous word. Because I'm guilty of using it at times too. But trainable and teachable are two different things. Teachable is you're able to take on new information and you're willing to. Trainable is like trying to force somebody to learn something new. And some people will take up to the training, some people won't. It depends on them. And again, that's kind of a slippery slope. Do you want somebody that you can have that is trainable, or do you want somebody that's teachable?
True facts. Which do you want? You got to figure out what it is that you want and make sure
Because
that you actually.
I would want somebody that's teachable, and the reason why is teachable people are people that are willing to do. They want to put in work. They want to learn more. They want to grow. They want to expand as a human being. Me, preferably, I'd want somebody like that because they want to do more. A trainable person is kind of like, oh, do this for me. And it's like, really? So I got to do everything? Really? That is one type of trainable person. I'm not saying that all trainable people are like that, but they kind of have that that mentality is more possible. But a teachable person does not have that mentality. Their mentality is, ooh, something new. Let me take it on and see if I like it or if I don't. Let's see where this goes. But yeah, I'm curious to see what other people's thoughts are. Reed, what you thinking, bro?
I'm gonna let Riker go.
Okay, all right, Reed. I know you're getting to play at the cookout, but basically, the main thing when it comes to being teachable versus trainable is the fact that I think that a lot of people base it, as you're saying, um, the writer, on people doing the thing that they want, not people being able to overcome adversity or to change how they're doing things. So many people look at a situation like, oh, well, I need to do X, I need to do Y, I need to do Z. And it's like, no, no, no. The reason you need to do things and be adaptable to change is because change is constant. Everything isn't going to always remain the same. So sometimes you got to go left, sometimes you got to be able to make a right, and sometimes you got to kind of be able to go wherever you need to go. But in any case, as a person in a relationship, you're not always going to get 100% of what you want. You're not going to always get 100% of what you need. Sometimes the person's going to be feeling sick. They're going to be down. They're going to be depressed. They're going to be in their own shit. Parents may die. All kinds of shit happens. You got to be able to go past and beyond all of that and look at it from a standpoint of, as a person, I need to be teachable. I need to be adaptable. I need to overcome. And we as men, oftentimes, we have more of a proclivity to change and be able to be responsive, be adaptable. But being teachable is encapsulating all of that into also being the kind of person who's like, all right, well, I need to do X, I need to do Y, I need to do Z for this relationship. You can't just do some of the things that you like. You got to be willing to go the whole round. And I mean, you need to have some limitations on it because the difference between being teachable, and I'm going to take it two steps to the right, the writer, and being a stooge. Like you got to figure out what that limit is. Like, is she always asking you to come over to her place late nights, certain days? That may not be your girlfriend. You may be the side nigga. Like you gotta figure out where that line is and where you are truly in a relationship with someone versus being in something where you're either trainable, which means you're doing commands like a dog, or you're teachable to be like, oh, there's a better way to do this. Okay, all right. I am open to the possibility of doing this differently. And sometimes you're just going to stand on your own thing because you're like, you know what? F it. This is what I do. Um, this is one thing where I'm not going to bend and not going to break. This is a line, but it just depends on what you want to do and how you want to get it done. But Reed, what do you think?
I can go. I always consider myself to be very receptible to knowledge or anything worth knowing. So, I mean, well, you guys bring up an interesting point that had me thinking. Teachable or trainable. Because a bitch can't teach me shit.
This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen.
Let me tell you something, buddy. Because I'm someone who's always like, I mean, I learn random things every day. Like I just have to. That's just who I am. Because I go through the new libraries of, Alexandria, being that the knowledge of YouTube. Some things, but I'm one of those people. I know a little bit about a lot of things, so I'm always listening. But I mean, I come to most things I know a lot about. One thing that I learned recently.
I'm gonna take the torch from you. You're right. With women's clothing, the more you understand about women's clothing, the more you understand that women's clothing is made shittier than men's clothing. It's made using less sustainable material. It's made with a propensity to not give them basic things like pockets. Men take pockets for granted, but pockets are one of the easiest ways for you to hold things on you, like your phone, wallet, keys, burner phone, a sack, a gram,
Condoms.
uh, condoms, just anything, AirPods, like all the basic things that a nigga may need in a day, you can store in your pockets. Women clothing, if it has pockets, they're tiny. If it doesn't have pockets, like most women's clothing, you gotta carry a purse. The problem with carrying a purse is you don't know what kind of day it is. Sometimes you need a small purse. Other times women need the big purse. And we used to have back in the day with our friend who you guys both know. She used to carry a huge purse because we used to always sneak Popeyes in the movie theater. That's neither here nor there. Fuck AMC. But it's one of those things where it's like you gotta understand that women's clothing, the more you learn about it, the more you're just like, why do we do this to women? Why do we do
So
this to women?
with that said, that means I'm receptible to a lot of things. You're not gonna bullshit me either. That's why I don't think they can teach me anything. I knew it was a shitstorm because one thing that I came into like not like an event to was like I was searching for clothing for my daughter for school, and I was just like, this fucking sucks. That's I tried it. I was like, yeah, she was like, you can just my child's mom was like, yeah, you can just give me the money and we'll just do it. And I said, fuck that. I can do this shit myself. Little did I know I should not have took on the task. Oh my god.
No, you should not have done that.
But I've learned a lot through the help of people in my life. I learned that next time I'm gonna just give her the money.
Yeah, next time you're just gonna give her the money and call it what it is. But I'm
And,
glad. I'm glad.
yeah, so like okay, then yeah, I'm receptible to a lot of things. It's just that I feel like when it comes to a woman, like man, I be telling people all the time, man, that women they wear their intelligence very differently from men. Like women can have a whole conversation about nothing, and then they'll have a conversation to you about quantum theory, and it's just different. Like men will bring it up in random thoughts, but when women sit down and have a conversation, it's going to be about nothing but rumors and all this kind of fuck shit. They rarely talk about the most important things. Not saying all of them, but sometimes women just judge your conversations when you're talking to a woman versus when you're talking to a man. You're learning literally. You can have an hour conversation with a woman and learn nothing, and you gotta sometimes resist that. These women, they know what the fuck they talking about. You just gotta bring it up because they're smarter than you give them credit for. I know a lot of men don't think women are smart. They're just as smart as you. They just don't give a fuck about a lot of this shit that you.
Well, also they don't have to, but a lot of it is they don't have to. Like they don't have to care about like ideas. Because normally, like what I see with a lot of men is we'll get into a conversation and we exchange ideas. Not ideas about the latest gossip or a TV show or a rumor or even just like a movie. We exchange ideas like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing this in my life. Hey man, I'm thinking about doing this. Men are talking a lot about changes. And that's something I see like when there's a woman who focuses herself on change, I notice that those are the women that men tend to gravitate towards more so for friends because you see a woman like that and you're like, oh, like you're smarter than the average bear. Like you're someone who is looking at things from the standpoint of how can I get better, not just how can I continue to exist as it is, because all of life is change and change is constant. So you have to be able to do that. And as men, if you're talking about ideas, you're preparing yourself for the future because you never know when that little thing that you know about women's clothing or that one thing that you learned about hemming or sewing may come in handy. And for a lot of men, like when we have tools and things of that nature, we have this stuff not because we expect that everything is going to require it, but that the fact that we know that things break and having the right tool on handy can make the difference between you being stuck on the side of the road at 12 a.m or you being able to kind of get yourself back to a garage or something where you can actually be able to do something. But all of this was done to tee up Armstead. So Armstead, what are your thoughts? Are you teachable, or are you someone who is trainable?
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna put it to you like this. One thing I'm gonna say is that there's been a lot of women that I've dealt with that have definitely taught me a lot, and the stuff that they taught me, a lot of these women ain't shit. No, I'm just, but to be really serious and real, man. I've grown up a lot dealing with particular women that's been in my life. Whether I've dated them or just been, saying friends with them, and having other women to tell you how their emotions are and how their feelings are and stuff like that would it kind of broadens your horizon to like, damn, like I can't treat her the same way as I would treat some other females because her mindset is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing I'm gonna say too. There's definitely a big difference between dealing with like a woman and just saying a girl. Because there's some girls out there who like they have shit going, but there's like the way they have conversations and the way they just move is totally different from how grown ass women would do things.
That's it, facts.
Yeah. So and even me being in a relationship, and I've been in relationships with both, types of women, and it's like dealing with a particular woman is like it's more peaceful, what I'm saying? But of course, things happen, people fuck up, people make mistakes. And you just learn from it, and then hopefully you'll find something that knits into what you're trying to do as far as like progressing on in life, like little things. Like for example, like me, I work on cars, I'm a mechanic or whatever. So it would be things like that I used to date, and she was always getting on me about my hands. Like, man, I'm over here working, I'm making this money to help pay bills and stuff like that. But she used to always get on me about, keeping my hands clean. And nobody want to touch me with them dirty ass fingernails. Go wash your hands and shit like that. And even though I get it, what I'm saying, but I never thought it was that serious. Like I had to even go deeper and get like a nail brush and shit like that. And then of course, some of the women that I've dealt with, they've had kids and stuff like that. And I used to get roasted and talked about because they used to call me stepdad, yeah, old stepdaddy ass nigga, shit like that. And this shit was
Why
pretty
would them
funny.
niggas do that?
You was one of them. So, and of course, I mean, it didn't bother me, but I know they thought the shit was funny. So it's like dealing with and then of course when she had a child, she had a girl. So it's like two girls in the house that I had to deal with, and they had different emotions and stuff going on. The little one would cry about things and stuff like that. The other one, she would whine about certain things. And then as far as like going shopping for them and stuff like that, like Reed was saying, as far as like buying clothes and certain things to eat and how they're feeling at the time they want this, favorite candy bars, uh, what stuff not to get because it's bad for their skin,
Oh
it's bad
hell
for the
no, man.
it's bad for the pH balance. Certain soaps they can't use. You know,
I mean, no, I
this
get that. All that is good. But when it comes to candy, like, I mean, candy's for closers. All right, if you ain't selling in this house, you ain't getting no candy.
Shit.
I mean, sometimes, well, you get what I'm saying. Sometimes you just want to just like, what's your favorite candy? What's that? Okay, I got you.
Oh, you're giving it as a god. So you're a generous god, is what you're saying. That's very
Yeah.
different than someone being like, we got to have candy in the house. No, the fuck, we don't.
Oh
We don't
no,
have
no,
to have
no. It's
shit.
just sometimes she'll make my favorite meal at the time that I really really like, and it was like, no, I'm gonna bring home goddamn some candy.
No. That again, that is you being a generous God, not them being like, oh, well, we got to have X amount of candy bars. Because that's the thing that black people we really need to stop doing is, oh, we got to have this soda, oh, we got to have this. Da, da, da. You ain't got to have shit. A lot of y'all niggas need to drink more water, and y'all don't
That's
need to have no candy.
nasty.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap this whole conversation up, which is beware your friends, people. Get better friends, people. And let's move together as a group because if you're listening to this right now, you invested in our Patreon, you invested in us. Definitely, we want to make sure that you are successful and we want you to do better. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, always hit us up. I mean, we can't fix the world, but we can be an ear. We can talk to you. We can see how Reed says to handle your problem or how Riker says to handle it, or Armstead, or even a special guest. it's really kind of up to y'all. But thanks again, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to another episode of Everyday Black Men podcast for authentic black male thoughts. I am Riker. I was joined by R. Reed and then eventually Armstead. We had a special guest of the Ryder. You can follow us on Twitter at EBYD Black Men, Instagram Everyday Black Men, and the Everyday Black Men Facebook page. Our website is www.everydayblackmen.com, and our Patreon is EBMP. Peace.